good employees come out of mostly communication. It's a communication thing is how you get good employees. Sure, some people are motivated more and some people don't screw up as much and some people are just going to do better than others. Hello, Chef Marcus Giuliano here.
And Jamie.
And I'm a chef on a mission.
You are.
Today's mission is business. Lots and lots of good business stuff. You can head over to my website, Chef Marcus Giuliano, or marcusgiuliano.com, and there's a free download, not download, but there's a free book offer for 50mistakes.com. Go check it out. I'll send that to you. It's free. I want to talk about one of the business tips that I'm actually going to write for my next Forbes article, which is...
the struggles that we go through as business owners, right?
Yeah.
And if something doesn't work, right, we have to ask ourselves, what did we do wrong? How can we fix it? How did we create that?
Right. So I've been trying to follow something for the last couple months to take 100% responsibility of my situation, of my work, of my business, of my employees. And I think that's where the biggest thing comes in, is taking 100% responsibility of other people's screw-ups, mishaps, miscommunication. I want to tell two stories about this just recently.
Yes.
One story was in the kitchen. We own a restaurant. And in the kitchen, somebody was arguing with me about the portion sizes on something. And saying, well, you never told me that. And this is actually, I was saying, no, this gets a half a cup of wine, not 2 ounces of wine. And whatever it was, they were arguing with me. And I said, listen, 15 years we'll be doing it the same. And this person got really upset at me. And you told me. And I said, well, it's in the recipe book. It's totally, if you walked around the corner, it's in the recipe book right there.
Right.
But I said, you know what, I'm going to take 100% responsibility for this situation. I'm going to print more recipe standardization cards and put them on the flip up on top of the wine, so when they go into the wine, they know what all the dishes that have wine and how much wine it gets. So instead of saying, well, no, instead of me arguing back, I just said, okay.
You took responsibility for it.
And I said to them, I specifically said, I'm going to take 100% responsibility right now for what you just did.
Right.
But going forward, now you know this is what I'm expecting. And now here's the sheet on top of the station with what everything's expected with every dish. So I took 100% control of the situation, responsibility, and that's how I handled that situation.
Yes.
The other one was a pay discrepancy.
Yes.
Remember that?
I do.
We hired somebody. I negotiated with them, did a verbal negotiation, which I do with everybody. Then we filled out paperwork. His first paycheck comes, and he goes, my paycheck's wrong. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, that's not my right pay rate. I said, what do you mean it's not your right pay? He goes, I am supposed to be getting X, and you're only giving me Y. And I said, well, Y is what we negotiated. He goes, no, we didn't. And I'm, again, 99% sure what I negotiated, because what he tells me I told I was going to pay him was more than I ever paid anybody in the kitchen before in an hourly rate. And I knew I wasn't going past that threshold in my mind, that I was staying under that threshold. So that's what kind of triggered it in my mind. And then he all of a sudden says, well, you know, I got job offers at this other restaurant, you know, for the same amount. He goes, so I wouldn't have taken a job for less money. Well, the other restaurant happens to be a friend of ours.
Yes. So you called him and you asked him some questions.
And he goes, I didn't offer him that. In fact, what he told me he offered him was significantly less
than what he was even making here.
Yes.
Or even what we thought Y was here.
So I sat him down again, and I said, listen, I said, I'm going to take 100% responsibility for this, and I'm going to pay you what you think we negotiated. That's what I'm going to pay you. I said, but I'm paying you that, and this is what I expect.
There's an expectation.
There's an expectation from you at this wage. Oh, don't worry, this and that. I think he lasted 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Because he realized that he couldn't even do what the other wage would have garnered in a job description, right? He said, "I'm gung ho." For first, when he first interviewed with me, he goes, "I'll work into the position, into a sous chef position. I'll work into it. I have no problem. I'll prove myself, and you can pay me later." All this kind of stuff is what he said. And he specifically said, "Let me prove myself first before you give me more money." I said, "Okay, great, perfect. That's a great attitude to have."
Right. That's
So-
what we're looking for in an employee, right?
Exactly what we're looking for in an employee. And that turned out to be the opposite, and I took responsibility of it, and he's no longer here. And I didn't have to get rid of him, which was going to come to that point because he just
Sure
wasn't
was.
performing. But he knew that he was underperforming, and maybe he took responsibility and he ended up leaving. So this can drastically change your business, your life, by taking 100% responsibility. Somebody like Helen Keller took 100% responsibility
did.
for her life, right? Blind, deaf. She wrote, I don't know, 2-3 books. I think she even invented Braille, didn't she, or something? She took 100% responsibility for her situation and made it to what Helen Keller's known as of today. And a lot of people use these excuses. They use these roadblocks. They point, they blame, and us entrepreneurs, and we've been guilty of it for years. When something doesn't go our way, we point the finger.
I just listened to a video this morning, actually, about pointing the blame and how we point the blame on other people when really we should be pointing the blame on ourselves.
100%.
And we should take responsibility. And I thought that was really interesting that this is the topic of conversation right now. And they were actually talking about LeBron James and how when LeBron James left
Cleveland.
left Cleveland and went down to Miami, the coach of Cleveland wrote a bad press, put really bad press about him out there. And he left and he went to Miami, and then I guess he was going back to Cleveland, but they had a discussion and the coach took 100% responsibility, and so did LeBron James. They went about it the wrong way. LeBron left in the wrong way, and the coach didn't respect him, in a press release and responded in the wrong way. And so hence LeBron went back to Cleveland. They took responsibility.
Another situation, sports related. Remember the pitcher who pitched a perfect game? This was like 5, 6, 7 years ago. Pitched a perfect game, but the
Umpire made a
bad call. He called the guy safe on first base, I believe it was, and the guy was really out, and the umpire knew he blew it. The umpire knew he blew it, but to have a perfect game, the pitcher said, I'm not mad at him, I don't blame him, because to have a perfect game, everybody has to be perfect, including the umpire.
Right.
Instead of him saying, well, I should have had a perfect game, this and that. The umpire sat on the bench afterwards, and I think really was somber
really
about it.
I think he
knew.
I think he might have even written a book about it.
One of them wrote a book.
I think he wrote
one of them wrote a book because he knew he screwed up.
Yeah.
He knew he robbed this kid of a perfect game.
Right.
But the kid was like, hey, to be perfect, everybody in the game, including the umpire, has to be perfect. And the umpire wasn't perfect, so I don't have a perfect game.
Nobody is perfect. Nobody is perfect, and you can't be perfect. And so there are times in life, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a business, you have to take responsibility.
Yep.
And you have to take the blame for it.
So employees are our number one asset or hindrance in a business. For us in the restaurant business, they're the face. They're the people they're the ones who greet people. They're the ones who cook the food. They're the ones who do everything to make this restaurant run. To scale any type of business, we're told that you need employees because it's easy if we did everything ourselves as far as quality.
And I told an employee that today. I said, if I could do everything myself, I would. I could. I can't.
You can't.
I can't do everything myself. So I'm relying upon you to make good choices and to try not to screw up. And if you have to tell a guest something and you're not 100% sure of what you're telling them, you need to stop and go ask the right person and get the right answer. And you have to be the one who takes that responsibility.
Right. Absolutely, 100%. So other reasons would be, a new business comes into town and they take your business. Somebody, we've had restaurateurs that have come into our area. One restaurateur in particular said, we're going to bury Aromaton. We're going to bury Aromaton. They told somebody else, well, we're going to bury
And people would tell us that all the time. And our reaction was, let them try.
Right?
Right? Let them try. If that's the way their attitude is, let them try. And guess what? They weren't there much.
They lasted two or three years before they buried themselves.
Yep.
because again, they were worried what other people were doing and
Yeah.
focused on other people, other things. Which one of my recent Facebook Live videos was the Landy Bannister Miracle
Yes.
Mile. In fact, let's see, I have that picture up there now.
You can
There
see
it
it?
is. There it is. There's Landy on the left, and there's Bannister. And Landy, if you can see him, is looking backwards to see where Bannister is.
And
Landy,
as he's looking backwards, what does Bannister do?
Bannister passes him.
him.
And by the time Landy can turn around to
It's too
focus,
late.
Bannister's in front of him. There's a tenth of a mile left. They're on their last stretch. Not even a tenth of a mile. Landy was winning the whole race and had a significant lead at a half a mile. And you can go on YouTube and watch this. Significant lead. But Landy was so concerned with what Bannister was doing that his turn back,
Bam, he took off.
Yep. And I believe in interviews afterwards, I've listened to interviews, I think Landy took responsibility and said, yeah.
I lost.
I lost.
I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have done that.
I lost. So, yeah. So, to scale your business, you need employees.
And sometimes you have to take that responsibility and assume it's your fault. Assume that you, number one, didn't teach them properly. Number two, that they're just not learning or picking it up quick enough.
Here's the
Right.
thing. If you're going to take responsibility for their screw-ups, you also have to take responsibility for yourself for hiring them.
Right.
Because you hired them at some point, and you saw something in them to attract a job offer, to attract them, to bring them onto your team. So you saw that. Now, dealing with employees is a whole nother thing as far as, okay, you screwed up, here's what we have to do, and, here's something nice to say, here's the bad part, and let's finish it with something nice. The sandwich effect of because really good employees come out of mostly communication. It's a communication thing is how you get good employees. Sure, some people are motivated more and some people don't screw up as much, and some people are just going to do better than others. But even the ones that don't do as good as others, there's something that they can do good. There's something
You have
in
to
them.
find that.
You have to find that. And if you can't, if they're not for your business, take 100% responsibility and get rid of
them.
and replace
Terminate
them.
replace them. Do what you need to do to make your business grow.
Basically, your business is what you create it to be.
Absolutely.
I remember a book by Judy from White Dog Cafe.
Yes.
It was called My Beautiful Business. The book she wrote on White Dog Cafe in Philadelphia, My Beautiful Business. And that's so true. We all have the abilities and capabilities to have a magnificent, beautiful business. Take 100% responsibility, have lots of gratitude. Gratitude and appreciation is just really is a driving force. If you appreciate your staff, if you appreciate your guests, if you appreciate what you have, that'll drastically change. In your life too, spouse, your parents, just that whole gratitude and appreciation can totally revolutionize your relationships with that. Anything else?
No, just, you know what? You can't have faith and fear together, right? We've been talking about that a lot lately.
Right.
So you have to have faith in your business. You cannot fear that your business is not going to be successful. And you have to try different strategies to make things work. And, sometimes back to that whole blame thing, you have to take the blame and you have to accept it and you have to move on from it. And you have to, take responsibility.
100%. All right. Thank you everybody for watching. Leave some comments and we'd be happy to answer them.
Absolutely. Have a great day.